اللهم صل كما صليت على إبراهيم اللهم بارك على كما باركت على إبراهيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت اللهم بارك على السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأيوب إذ نادى ربه أني مسني الضر وأنت أرحم الراحمين. Respected brothers and elders, mothers and sisters in Islam, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us in the company of the righteous in this world. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise us amongst the righteous on the day of Qiyamah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fill our lives with mercy and rahmah, as all of us are in the need of the rahmah and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today is the 17th day of Ramadan, the 17th fast. The 17th day has a significance directly related to the battle of Badr as well. And that, subhanAllah, is also an amazing portion in the history of Islam, as today defines the day of the Battle of Badr as well. But besides that, the 17th juz of the Quran has Surah Al-Anbiya in its part in the beginning. And Surah Al-Anbiya, verse number 83, is the ayat of the Quran that I recited in front of you. So again, this is the 17th Sipara or the 17th juz, Surah number 21, Surah Al-Anbiya, verse number 83. And the ayat says, وَأَيُّوبَ إِذْ نَادَى رَبَّهُ. And Ayyub, the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, إِذْ نَادَى رَبَّهُ, when he pronounced, proclaimed, announced, pleaded, or requested to his Rabb tabaraka wa ta'ala. And nada itself refers to seeking or calling towards assistance and help. And he said, إِنِّي مَسَّنِيَ الضُّرُّ. Indeed, I have been touched or afflicted by a difficulty, al-dhur. وَأَنْتَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. And O Allah, you are the most merciful of those who are the most merciful. Now, ulama have mentioned multiple things with regards to this very ayat of the Quran. And one of the most profound part of this ayat of the Quran, ulama have mentioned, is that Ayyub alayhi salam seek the assistance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without complaining a single thing which had affected his life. So if we look at the life of Ayyub alayhi salam, he was a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah had bestowed with, of course, prophethood, with wealth, with children, with health, with name in society and all that a person seeks. And as we know from the tafasir, that many individuals begin to say that this man has been given money, awlad, children, power, strength, and that's why he is grateful to you. If these things were not with him, then he wouldn't be amongst those that are grateful. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to show the people that the true servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are those, irrespective of the conditions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep them, they will always be truthful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the ulama had mentioned that not only the affliction that came upon Ayyub alayhi salam's health that began to deteriorate him, he lost all of his awlad and children. His wealth began to deteriorate. The people who used to surround him at all times, his companionship completely finished, except for his righteous wife that remained with him, steadfast in all conditions. She never left him in any of the conditions. His awlad and children passed away, his wealth began to deteriorate. And in all of these conditions, it was not even a single word of complaint. Ya Allah, why did you do this to me? And even when he says, وَأَيُّوبَ إِذْ نَادَى رَبَّهُ, and a time came that Ayyub alayhi salam made this nida and this ask to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, إِنِّي مَسَّنِيَ الضُّرُّ. Indeed, I have been touched by something that has caused me hurt. Ulama have mentioned, and Allama Razi rahmatullah alayhi Faqiuddin Razi rahmatullah alayhi, there's a big tafsir. It's one of the most profound works of tafsir. Allama Razi rahmatullah alayhi says in the tafsir of the word ad-dur, it refers to not his health, not his awlad, not his children, not his money. It refers to the people that were around him. Amongst them was his wife. That when they began to feel and lose hope and their iman began to get affected by thinking that it's not going to happen, he's never going to get better anymore. So the change of the iman of his family was the biggest concern for him, where he said, Ya Allah, I have been affected by something that I cannot bear. Meaning, oh Allah, when it comes to my health, I'll take. When it comes to my wealth, I'll take. When it comes to my awlad, I take. But Allah, when it comes to the iman of the people that I love around me, Allah, I can't. Allah, please change the halat so the iman of the people around me do not get changed. So Faqiuddin Razi rahmatullah alayhi mentioned that when it says al-dur, it wasn't his health, it wasn't the complaint of his money or his awlad not being there, it was the cry that, Ya Allah, my beloved wife that has been standing with me from day one, I don't want her to lose her iman, just thinking that my husband will never feel better, or we will never have the blessings that Allah has ever given us. And that worry allowed him to make this plea to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was never that he really wanted to have anything. Because, as we know that from the words of Ayyub alayhi salam and the words of Ibrahim alayhi salam, that from amongst the greatest moments and times of their lives were the times where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested them and they became steadfast. That doesn't mean that we ask Allah for test. We should never ask Allah for test, because we're not worthy enough for test. We should always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for afiyat, khair and ease. Ya Allah, I'm not meant for difficulty. Ya Allah, I'm not meant for those difficult moments. I ask you for ease. So the ayat of the Quran says, وَأَيُّوبَ إِذْ نَادَى رَبَّهُ. And when the moments and time came in the life of Ayyub alayhi salam, when he said, Inni massani Allah, oh Allah, I have been touched and affected by something that is hurting me, or has bothering me, and it's not about his health, not about his wealth, not about his children. It's the iman of the people around him. And then he did not say, Ya Allah, why? He says, Wa anta arhamur rahimin. You are the most merciful, Ya Allah. Right? Not even a single complaint. Not even a single complaint. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself mentions in the next ayat of the Quran, فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ فَكْشَفْنَا مِمَّا بِهِ. SubhanAllah says, we accepted his words. We accepted his plea, we accepted his dua. And not only this, آتَيْنَهُ أَهْلَهُ, Allah returned his family, the strength and the iman of his family. And not only this, his awlad and his children, وَمِثْلَهُمْ. And not only that, but double the amount. Some Mufassirun have mentioned that those that have children had passed, Allah gave them life again and double the amount. Or some even said that Allah gave him twice as much as awlad, and twice as much as the wealth, and twice as much as what Allah had given them, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted it in the best of the way. So again, this particular ayat of the Quran, respect brothers and elders, mothers and sisters, is a reminder for all of us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts us in situations and conditions that He knows us more than we know our own selves. Number one, to trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number two, always seek the assistance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even in the most difficult moments, and we're human beings, we're insan, we're not prophets, we're not anbiya, but try your best that even in the most difficult condition, don't put the words of complaint to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ask Allah to make it easy without putting complaint to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or saying, why me in this particular situation? Allah knows us more than we know ourselves, right? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can change halat and conditions. And last but not least, one of the biggest things that we should all be worried and concerned about is iman of ours and the iman of the children or the family of ours. That should be the greatest of our concerns. Because if iman is there, then Allah will give mal and awlad and children, everything will come back. The biggest amount of concern, of worry that anyone should have is the worry of iman of the people around us. Inshallah, if we can take care of our iman and the iman of those around us, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides the rest. Because if iman is lost, then there could be no gain in this world. May Allah give us tawfiq and ability. So again, this is the 17th Sipara. Today is the 17th day of fasting. Surah Al-Anbiya, chapter number 21. And this is ayat number 83, asking and telling us about the dua and the plea of Ayyub alayhi salam. May Allah give us tawfiq and ability, inshallah. Subhanallah. Subhanallah.